guys, this episode 59 of War Stories, and without further ado, I'm gonna get straight to it. So check it out, you guys. Once again, B got caught up in the YouTube hoopla. I'm starting late because earlier today I had to watch all the breaking news and all the exclusive information that was coming out on Convict's Perspective. Apparently, according to what everybody and their mother is saying, Convict's Perspective is on the run. Now, that's his business. I'm not going to speak on it. There's enough people speaking on it. But like with everything else that hits close to home, especially when we're talking about YouTube and content creators like we have in the past with Savage Studios, everybody talks about it. So anyways, just for the sake of getting you guys some content, I'm starting late, but I'm going to get you a quick one out just so I can get something out tonight. So I'm going to take you guys back to 1987, 1988, the end of 87, the beginning of 98. Now, around this time, I was ripping and running in the mission. This is around the same time frame as I've been talking about during my last few war stories. Now, you know, basically at that time I was running around with a homeboy who I'm gonna refer to as crazy. Well, I'm gonna call it what it is. I was running around with a homeboy named Chewy. I'm sure old boy don't care about this. There's no statute of limitations on this stuff. It's already burnt up. That's my boy. He wouldn't mind. I know this. Trust me. So, anyways, you know, I was running around with Chewy at that time. We were, you know, hitting licks, terrorizing our neighborhood like all young gang members do. And like I said in one of my previous war stories, I don't know why, as I got older, I used to think about that. Why do gang members victimize and terrorize their own neighborhoods? Instead of taking it beyond the perimeters of their hood, they choose to stay within the boundaries and victimize the people that are from their neighborhood. It doesn't make no sense, but it is what it is. Anyways, I want to say between 16th and 30th in Mission was our stomping grounds. We would randomly pick people to rob. We'd run up on them, sock them up, take their jewelry, take their money. You know, that's pretty much all we were doing. And we were gangbanging a lot in those days. And back in those days, there was a lot of red on red conflict. There wasn't no Sureño, Norteño conflict back in those days because the Sureño neighborhoods had not started to establish themselves at that time. This was 87. So, you know, both of us, I mean, we have a lot of history together. We literally grew up together. I've been knowing Chewy since I was around 11 years old. We went through juvenile hall together. We grew up in the hood together. We used to run the streets. We used to gang bang. And we got older. We ended up going to prison. We were up in Pelican Bay together. He ended up becoming an NF member, one of the only other homeboys from my neighborhood that would become a member of the mob. There was only a few of us, but he was one of them because Chewy was like-minded like me. We were out there doing it in the neighborhood. He was a fool, just like I was. You can call it a fool, or you can just say we were just young with no sense, no common sense, because we weren't. We didn't have no common sense. Anyway, so meaning we used to do a lot of dumb shit that just did not make sense. Anyways, both of us had pretty much got kicked out of the San Francisco Unified School District because of either fighting. I got kicked out for fighting and for gangbanging, for victimizing other cats in my class or in my school. They shuffled me around. I went to Burbank, then I went to McAteer, then I went to Visitation Valley. Finally, they ended up saying, you know what, this cat right here, we don't want him in our school district. Let's kick him out. So I ended up getting sent to a continuation that was located, at that time, it was located between 15th and 16th in Mission, on Mission Street. Later on, it would move to Potrero and 24th, but at that time, it was on between 16th and 15th in Mission. Now, the place of the school was called Real Alternatives Program. Now, this school was as crooked as they come. All the teachers, everybody that worked there, they were either dope fiends, they smoked weed, or they were ex-gang members, or they had been to the joint. So you can imagine what type of environment it was. There was literally people smoking weed, getting high in class. It reminds me of one of those movies that I seen about, you know, those troubled schools. I just can't remember the name of it right now, but some of you probably are saying it out loud right now. I just can't remember the name of it. But anyway, so that's the type of environment it was. There was everybody there was affiliated, and everybody there had done time. The counselors were all a little bit, they were all older, but they were all from my neighborhood. The teachers were, some of them were dope fiends. I knew a lot of them personally from the streets and had did business with them out in the streets. So that's what kind of school it was. Now, me and Chewy were both going to rap. Again, it was called RAP, Real Alternatives Program. We were going to rap at around the same time. And, our program consisted of, we would go to school and, we punch in homeroom or whatever. We go in there, we smoke some weed, drink some beer, whatever. And then we go to a liquor store and we pull a runner. No, not a YouTube runner. That was funny. Not a YouTube runner, but a beer run. It's basically when you go into a liquor store and you go and get whatever kind of beer you feel like drinking, and you grab as much of it as you can, and you walk up towards the register like you're going to pay for it, and then you hightail it up out of there. You hit the burners, you cut tread. So that's what we were doing every day. Every day we'd hit a different liquor store. We pretty much had hit every liquor store in the Mission District. I mean, we mapped that whole area out. Like, we already hit this one, we can't hit that one, we already hit this one. So after we get done drinking and we get hungry, we get that, how you get when you've been drinking all day and you get that beer hunger, that real, like, you really get hungry, you eat 5 burritos. Anyways, we go to a taqueria or somewhere in the Mission District, a restaurant, and we do the same thing. We walk up, we order what we were going to eat or what we wanted to eat, and then we grab it and we run out. That's what we used to do. So, that's how we used to spend our days. And rap was like our safe haven. It was a little spot that we would run to. That was our little refuge. If we hit a liquor store, we'd run to rap and we'd go and kick it in the courtyard. If we robbed somebody, we'd end up running back to rap and we'd meet up in the courtyard. That was our little spot. We felt like we were safe there. The cops didn't used to come in there. The people there had our back. If the cops ever did come, they'd probably say, these guys have been here. They had our backs. And, they've been here the whole day. They haven't left. That's what type of place this was. It was cool. Everybody that was there ended up being like family to me. Later on, when I would keep getting into trouble and I would get caught up in the system, a lot of these people would try to come back for me and try to get me into, diversion, drug programs and things like that, speaking up on my behalf, because I grew up in their school. I grew up in the Mission. So anyways, not to get off topic, but apparently Chewy's little brother ended up having an issue with somebody else, another cat that used to post up in Dolores Park. Now, I wasn't aware of anything other than that when Chewy approached me and was like, hey, he was like, my little bro has an issue with these cats. They're up there at Dolores Park. He's like, I need you to roll up there with me, bro. And I was like, bro, let's go. You know what I'm saying? That was my dog. That was my boy. So there was no questions asked. You know what I mean? I was going to roll with him regardless. So, all he really told me was that this dude had an issue with his little brother, that he'd been pressing his little brother. He pushed up on him and that he wanted to go jam him up. So I'm like, yeah, let's go do it, bro. At that time, I didn't have a weapon on me. I didn't have a box cutter, didn't have a blade. I didn't have nothing. I just had these hands right here. So as we were leaving the courtyard and rap, but let me just tell you guys a little bit more, this last thing about rap. So the other thing about rap that was real cool is rap was composed of a bunch of bungalows that were all connected together. It wasn't that big of a school. It was kind of small. There was probably like 5 bungalows. 2 of them were classrooms. 2 of them were probably administrative buildings. And the other one was like the bathroom facility or something like that. And then they had another one that was a weight room. And this literally became the Mission District's weight room. They left this weight room open for the Mission District. Everybody in the hood used to come there and work out. Cats that had been to the joint, older homeboys from my neighborhood, youngsters, you would see everybody over there. And it was a big weight room with a lot of weights. Usually it would stay open all day, and usually I would be the one to lock it up because I was always there. I was always serious about, getting my pump on. Speaking of getting my pump on, your boy hit 400 pounds today, and I'm going to put the video on the channel either later tonight or tomorrow morning. You guys will see I'm getting ready to start that new workout series that I've been talking about. So that's another thing. I'll get to that after I'm through with this. Anyway, so the weight room was everybody used to come take advantage of it. Everybody used to come and get their money. It was a good thing. And again, they trusted me enough to give me a key. And at nighttime, usually I would lock it, or I had another cat, Curtis Johnson, another Africano that was a good Africano that grew up in the Mission District. For anybody that's from the Mission that knows the Johnson brothers, Curtis, Leroy, Farmer John. I talked about one the other day in one of my other war stories. Anyways, those brothers right there, they're related to Wallace Johnson, one of the cats that went with me to City Nights and got into it. But they're part of the Johnson family, and that whole family, they're all huge. I don't know what's in them cats' genes, but whatever it is, they hit any weights and they blow up, like on steroids, blow up. So anyways, I know I'm getting off topic, but that was the other thing that was cool about rap, is it had that weight room. And, you know, I know why they put that weight room there. It gave those of us that used to run the streets something to, you know, gravitate towards on their school grounds, to get us off the streets, to get us away from gangbanging and all that kind of stuff. And it was a trip. They had a van too. They used to drive around in the van. There was like 4 cats, older cats that used to work there. And their whole purpose was to drive around and stop gangbanging. They would drive around. Everybody knew the rap van. It was like a root beer color and a dark brown. And it had a Real Alternatives program written on the side. And if they seen a gang fight, usually they jump out and try to stop it. If it was homeboys from my hood, most of them were from my hood, they would jump out with baseball bats and they get right up in it. It was crazy, man. Anyway, so back to where I was at. So when we were leaving the courtyard, me and Chewy, to go walk up to Dolores Park, we ran into 2 other cats that were going to rap as well. Also from 30th, and Caveman from 30th. Both of them were some good ass homies. I didn't grow up with these guys, but I knew them from around the time I was like 15 years old. I don't know where they're at in life today. If you guys are watching, probably not. But if you are by chance, man, I wish you guys the best. And you know how we used to do it when we were youngsters. It was all the way live. Anyway, so when we're walking out, we run into them, and Chewy hits him up. He's like, hey, man, he's like, we're going to go press up on these cats over there at Dolores Park. You guys want to roll with us? And, you know, these guys were, again, everybody that went to rap, we were like family. So they didn't even hesitate. They were like, let's do it. You know what I mean? Let's go. So it was 4 of us that walked up to Dolores Park. Now, Dolores Park, we were on 16th and Mission. Dolores Park is like 4 blocks up and 2 blocks over. You walk up to, like, you can go up to 17th and then hit like Dolores, go past Guerrero, hit Dolores, go 2 blocks down, and it's right there. So it's in walking distance. So when we left, the 4 of us, you know, we're walking to Dolores Park, and on the way there, we stop at a liquor store. I grab a 40, of course, of Old English. At that time, it had to be Old E. I grab a 40 of Old English. Some of the other cats, they grabbed some beers, and, you know, we started walking towards Dolores Park. By the time we got there, I had pretty much slammed my 40. So, you know, the juices were flowing. I was ready for whatever. I told you guys, when I used to drink back when I was a youngster, it used to set me off. It didn't matter. I was one that could not control my liquor. I would always fight, or always would want to fight. I would always get into some shit, or I'd go to jail because of the dumb shit that I used to do. As I got older, I learned how to hold my liquor. I learned how to humble myself and not engage in the buffoonery. We'll call it buffoonery, since I can't use the F word no more. Anyway, so we end up going up 17th, and we hit Guerrero, and then we walked over another 2 blocks, and we're right there at Dolores Park. Now, we came from the side where Mission High School is right across the street from Dolores Park. Dolores Park is one of the San Francisco's attractions. It's a famous park. You guys will always see pictures of it on postcards and magazines because it's a landmark. It's considered one of San Francisco's landmarks. It really is a cool looking park. Back in the day, Santana and Malo and all those kind of bands used to be performing out there on the park. People would be sitting in the grass. It was cool. You would always, if Santana and those guys weren't out there, you'd always find somebody out there playing the congos, the drums. That was like classic San Francisco. You go downtown, Golden Gate Park or Dolores Park, and you would hear those Congo drums being played. And it created a Santana type of atmosphere. I can't explain it, but that was San Francisco right there. Anyways, so there's a spot in Dolores Park where I guess these individuals used to sell their weed. Now, these guys, later on, I would find out they were from LHG, Lower Heights gang, a gang that fizzled out. They're no longer existent. They were a small hood, but at the time when I was from LTM and before, I graduated to SFM, we used to gangbang with other hoods. Lower Heights, and they had another gang over there in the Heights. I want to say it's HHG. I'm not sure what it stood for, but there was two of them, and we used to get off with both of them. There wasn't that many of them, but they were down for their hood. They were, they used to kick up a little bit of dust. So anyways, all I knew, later on, I would find out that these guys were from the Heights, and I actually ended up knowing the main one that had a conflict with Chewy's little brother. So when we walk up to Dolores Park, and we walk up to the spot where the benches were at, where they used to sell their weed, because that's what they were, that wasn't their hood, but they used to come over there, post up, and sell their little dimes and nickel bags of weed. A lot of cats did. So when we got there, they weren't there. We figured we either missed them or they hadn't slid through. There was nobody there. However, after walking around through the park, there's like a tennis court that's at the bottom of the hill. We ended up spotting them right there. They were right there posted up by the tennis court. So we walked over there, and I didn't have a weapon at the time, but I knew, as far back as when we were still, before we left at Rap, that Chewy had a letter opener. It was a letter opener shaped like a dagger. It looked like a medieval type of old school weapon, like something from the 1800s, but it was nasty. It had a long blade, like this long, and it was sharp. It came to a nasty point on it, but it was a letter opener. And like I said, I didn't have a weapon on me. I didn't have a blade. I didn't have a box cutter. I didn't have nothing. Now, Caveman or also, they didn't have weapons either. As far as I know, they didn't have nothing but, again, they just had these right here. So anyways, we walk over to where these cats are, and there's 5 of them. Now, like I said, I knew the main one. His name was Shadow. He was like a Peruvian cat, dark-skinned, or what do you call those cats? They're either from Peru or one of those countries, but they're dark-skinned people. Anyways, Shadow was somebody that I knew, and he was there. It was him, his little brother was there, and then there was 3 other cats, all from LHG. So it was 5 of them, and there was 4 of us. Now, everything happened fast. When we walked up on them, because it was Chewy's issue, Chewy walked up to Shadow, and he got, Shadow, when Shadow first seen me, he greeted me. He was like, "What's up, boxer?" And I'm like, "What's up, bro?" And, it's not like we were going to be cool, because if my boy had an issue with him, I'm going to jump on Shadow too. But I knew him. But now that my boy got an issue with him, I got an issue with you too, man. So, we greeted each other, but then Chewy got straight to it. He walked up on Shadow and he goes, "What's up, bro? You got a fucking issue with my little bro? You got an issue with my little brother?" You know what I mean? And Shadow flexed on him. He straight flexed. He stepped up on the homie, got right in his face, and he's like, "Your little brother's the one with the fucking problem. You know what I mean? Maybe you should talk to your little brother." And it happened like that. It happened that fast. Now, Chewy pulled the letter opener out and plugged him twice. He hit him twice, and again, it happened fast. And I know Chewy. Chewy, like I said, Chewy is somebody I've ran with. I've been in a lot of situations with him. He's somebody that will stab you if he's got a weapon. If he's got a gun on him, He's somebody that'll shoot you. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be, right? If you're gonna be carrying that stuff around, you're supposed to use it, right? Or if he has any kind of weapon, he'll use it. And he's just, I've told you guys other stories about things that me and Chewy have done. That one time in Dolores Park when we elephant man that one cat, that was Chewy. He was one of the ones that was with me. So I knew that Chewy had that letter opener, and I knew that he was gonna plug this dude. I just knew it. If shit went sideways like it did, I knew he was gonna pull it out and hit him, and he did. As soon as Shadow flexed on him, homeboy pulled it out and he hit him twice. He hit him once in the shoulder, which wasn't really. I mean, he was probably going for his neck, but then he hit him in the eye. And I don't know if I don't want to say it was by design. It was probably by just luck that he poked him in the eye, because the first one went to the shoulder, and the second one, when he was moving, he caught him in the eye. Now, obviously, as soon as he hit this dude, Shadow dropped. He dropped as soon as he hit him, and Chewy could have got on him. He could have stayed on him. He could have started plugging him again. He could have stabbed him a couple more times, but he obviously knew that it was a good hit, and the blood was dark red. And when you see that kind of blood, it's a good hit. So Shadow was done. You know what I mean? You could tell by how much he was bleeding out that old boy was in trouble. Now, as soon as that happened, as soon as Chewy stabbed Shadow, the rest of us, we start fighting. Here it comes. Hey, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, man. It was a good 4-on-4. They had a fifth guy, but he was down. But there was 4 of us. Also, and Caveman, they're both bruisers. Both of those dudes are little hitters. And, again, I don't know where they're at today, but, as they got older, I knew them until they were like in their early 20s, and then we lost contact. They probably moved on and went on in life, but they were hogs back in those days. They were cats that I knew that if they were with you, they had your back. So, we went 4-on-4, and it was a good little brawl. We were going at it, but Chewy still had the letter opener, and we all squared up with somebody, and the dude that Chewy squared up with, Chewy stabbed that dude too. He stuck him in the arm. It wasn't nothing serious, and then he chased after the dude. They ended up running up into the park, and it was me also and Caveman going at it with the other 3 cats, and we were going at it right there on the grass. And it went on for a minute, and then we separated. We ended up separating because eventually the cops are going to come, and somebody was still on the ground leaking, so everybody wanted to get the hell up out of there, and that's what we did. I ended up meeting Chewy back at the school, back at RAP, like 30 minutes later. He had chased that other dude down. He told me that he stabbed that dude in the arm too. Later on, I would hear about it, and then that's when I would hear about what happened with Shadow. Now, again, he ended up hitting him in the shoulder, which wasn't a fatal wound, but he was obviously going for the neck. But the shot that he took to the eye was a nearly fatal shot. Apparently, from what I remember, if it would have been another 1/4 inch deeper, he would have penetrated his brain, and it would have been fatal. So homeboy almost killed Shadow that day. Shadow lost his eye that day, but he walked away with his life. And over what? It was over some weed. It was over territory or prices or who had the rights to sling their weed at the park. But it was what it was, man. That's what young gang members do. It was an incident that happened, and Shadow, he never told on Chewy. Chewy never ended up going to, getting arrested for it. He never went to jail for it or nothing like that. There's no statute. There is statute of limitations. They're burnt up. So I'm not tripping, and I know homeboy's not tripping. So for all those of you that are like, oh, what are you talking about it for? It's man, this happened in '88, like almost a half century ago. So anyways, this was a quick one. Like I said, there's a lot of hoopla, and all kinds of hype going on YouTube right now. I don't know whether to get mines in or get it out the way or get out the way, but at least I want to get you guys out something tonight. With that said, this episode 59, I will be back tomorrow with another episode. I'm going to give you guys a banger. We're going to start doing the inner demons again later on this week. I still got that profile coming out to you guys. Again, for those of you that have been asking about the workout videos, I'm going to kick that off real soon within the next week or two. But I'm going to post a video in the community showing you guys that I hit 405 today on the bench. So for those of you that are planning to work out with me, we ain't doing no half stepping. You got to be able to throw up some weight. But seriously, even those of you that are just starting, I'm encouraging you guys to start working out with me when I start these videos. You got to start from somewhere. So you don't got to nobody's going to throw up that much weight, when you first get into it. You might only be able to throw up 100 pounds on the bench or 200 pounds. Don't let that discourage you. You know what I mean? We'll get there. If you stick with me, I'll get you there, because when it comes to working out with weights, that's what I do. So anyways, this episode 59, again, this your boy B, and I'm out.